Section 2.4 is called the precise definition of a limit. First problem we're going to look at is a piecewise function, right here, given f of x equals 2x minus 1 when x doesn't equal 3, and f of x equals 6 when x equals 3. So I've graphed the piecewise function in blue, and it's just a line with a hole. The hole is at 3 because this is when x doesn't equal 3, and the 0.36 is above. Okay, the first thing we want to do is find the limit right here as x approaches 3 of f of x. So if I look over here from the left, as I get closer and closer to 3, and from the right, I get closer and closer to 3. What am I approaching? I'm approaching the open circle. What's the y value that I'm approaching? Would be 5. Okay, so the limit equals 5. So that is saying, again, when x is close to 3 but not equal to 3, the function is close to 5. Okay, so as I get closer and closer to 3, from both directions, the y value that I am approaching is 5. Okay, now the question is, how close, right here, how close to 3 does x have to be so that f of x, which guys just means the y value, differs by less than 0.1? Okay, so graphically, I'm saying what? How close to 3, here's 3, how close do I have to be on the left and the right so that the y value differs by less than 0.1 from the 5? So meaning, how close am I where I'm a 0.1 above 5 and 0.1 below 5? So if I mark with pink over here, okay, the pink above would be at 5.1 right here. Down here would be at 4.9 because it's saying I want to be less than 0.1. So if I draw dotted lines, this question's really just saying, what are those two x values that correspond to 4.9 and 5.1? And then the question's asking, how close to 3 would I be? So then I just have to find the distance between those values in 3 on both sides, that distance there. Okay? So it's just saying, I know that I'm getting closer and closer to 5, but how close from 3 do I have to be so that I'm 0.1 away from 5, which means I'm at 5.1 or 4.9. Okay? So graphically, I just kind of showed you that on the graph. So what would you actually do to find those values? Well, what we just said. I want to know when the y value would be 4.9 and when the y value would be 5.1. So I would set 2x minus 1 equal to 4.9, and I would set 2x minus 1 equal to 5.1. And I would be finding these two x values down here by setting them equal to the y values. So if I solve both of these, add 1, I get 5.9, divide by 2, I get 2.95. Over here, do the same thing, add 1, I get 6.1, divide, and I get 3.05. So the question, remember, is how far from 3 am I? So from 2.95 to 3, I am 0.05, and from 3 to 3.5, I'm 0.05. So my answer would be 0.05. Go back to the graph. So the distance from 3 down here on both sides would be 0.05. And that answers the question. That same problem could be asked with a lot of math notation. So this is asking the same thing in blue. Find a delta, okay, just Greek letter delta, looks like a D, cursive D kind of, such that, ST, if the absolute value of x minus 3 is less than delta, then the absolute value of f of x minus 5 is less than 0.1. Remember, absolute value means distance. So this is really saying the distance from x to 3. Okay, so delta represents the distance from x to 3. And I haven't introduced, but you'll see epsilon, capital E, is the distance from the y value, the function, to the y value I'm looking for. So this is saying the exact same thing as what we just answered graphically. Okay, how would you solve this algebraically? Well, I'm trying to find the delta such that this is true. All I need to do is, what is my function down here? So if I look, my function was 2x minus 1. So if I put in 2x minus 1 minus 5 is less than 0.1. And now if I do some algebra, I have 2x minus 6 is less than 0.1. And if I just solve an absolute value inequality, remember this says 2x minus 6 is less than 0.1. Okay, and 2x minus 6 is greater than negative 0.1. And then if I just solve each one of these, I would get 2x is less than 6.1, which gives me x is less than 3.05. Over here, 2x is greater than 5.9, x is greater than 2.95, and I get the same exact answer because I know that I'm comparing these to x equals 3. So how far apart are these from 3? Would still be 0.05. So now I would just say delta equals 0.05. Okay, so this is the exact same problem as I showed you with the graph. This is just how it's written out algebraically with the same function f of x. Looking at a totally separate one that's just written out with the notation. So find delta, to sloppy delta, such that if the absolute value of x minus 1 is less than delta, then x squared minus 1 is less than 0.2. So first, a couple of things. The function is x squared. So my function f of x is x squared. I know that because it's what I'm subtracting from here. Okay, the value that I am comparing this to